So here's a quick review, and I say quick, this might be 15 minutes. A quick review, I say quick because I'm not looking at any notes for this. I just saw this in the movies yesterday. This has been out on theatrical for a while, and I wanted to catch it on the big screen before it went away. This is SHAZAM, Fury of the Gods. Now, by the time you see this, and knowing that these live, online much longer than they do anywhere else. This is probably available on HBO Max by now. I know the talk as I record this was that it was very soon to be on HBO Max and streaming and digital rental and all that. Sequel to the film from a couple years ago entitled SHAZAM, based on the old Captain Marvel character, which isn't called that anymore. It's a complicated history between Captain Marvel and Superman, and then the Marvel character that became known as Captain Marvel. So we just call him SHAZAM now. So I watched the SHAZAM TV show as a kid. 70s Filmation Saturday morning show, loved it. It was had a little bit of animation in it, and it was young Billy Batson. I tell you this story because this is more or less the overall plot of the SHAZAM films. Young Billy Batson is average kid, meets up with some wizard or gods who grant him the power to become this superhero, this Superman-like superhero, by uttering the holy ancient word of SHAZAM, and he, ba-boom, flash of lightning, and he becomes a grown man who engages in adventure and heroic deeds. The SHAZAM films are a little bit different, and I asked a friend of mine who had read the SHAZAM comic, because I never did, is this a new development on how they're handling the character in the films? And it is done for the movies. In this, Billy Batson is an orphan who lives in a blended household with all kinds of other fellow orphan kids who've been adopted or fostered by this kindly couple. And he's, unsure of himself in the world, and he is granted these great powers, and with them coming great responsibility, to become this superhero. And he retains his kid persona as the superhero. So it becomes Zachary Levi, beefy, adult male Zachary Levi, but acting like he's an awkward kid. So when I first saw the trailer for the first SHAZAM, I'm like, this looks stupid. This looks annoying. Why are they doing this? It's pandering to kids. Can't we have, we can have movies aimed at kids where adults are the heroes. It worked that way for generations. But at some point in the late 80s into the 90s, that shifted where it seemed like everything made for kids had to be focused on kids. And that, it kind of bugs me as an adult, just because as a kid, I didn't need that. But anyway, that's how the new SHAZAM movies are. So in SHAZAM, Fury of the Gods, we have, and I'm going to spoil a little of SHAZAM for you here. In SHAZAM, Billy Batson, aka SHAZAM, is able to grant his powers to the rest of his siblings in this blended foster family. And together they become the SHAZAM family, or whatever you want to call it, and they vanquish the bad guy at the end of the first film. So the second film carries on as that. So it's not just about SHAZAM, it's about SHAZAM and all his brothers and sisters. And to dial it back a little bit, I really liked the first SHAZAM. I went in thinking it was going to be dumb, it was going to be aimed at kids, it was going to be some goofy foolishness. And it was just fun. It was very sweet, it was fun, and I really liked it. Honestly, I will take a DC movie that has a character that smiles once in a while. The DC films, I grew up with a Superman that smiled. So I don't really care for the current DC movies. They feel like they're just nipping at the heels of Marvel, trying to catch up and say, oh, we got a Superman-like character too. We got a brooding character too. We got an all-stars team too. It's great. Just make good movies. So I welcome these SHAZAM films because they're just fun. And I went to see it at a matinee, and this to me was a fun matinee. The storyline here is two evil sisters, two evil godlike sisters, show up to find this, I don't remember the name of it, Scepter of the Gods, let's say, that was used in the first film that SHAZAM had broken over his knee. They seize it from I believe, is it the Louvre? They seize it from a large museum somewhere. They put it back together, and they're looking for SHAZAM to basically get his power or get something from him so that they can, rule the world and end the universe and all that kind of stuff that they do. The sisters are portrayed by Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu, and we also have, I don't want to give anything away about the twists in the story. So that's the deal. So the SHAZAM family is up against these two sisters who want to basically take all their powers and eradicate them and bring a terrible world to our world, and it's the end of the world and all that stuff. The plot didn't matter to me too much. I get tired of end of the world scenarios in these films, especially because the superheroes movies come out so often. It's like, oh great, it's this month's end of the world scenario. I always say in these reviews, Give me a superhero movie that's an hour and a half and they're trying to stop a runaway train. It doesn't have to be end of the world stakes all the time. It can be foiling a robbery. It can be who knows what. It doesn't have to be, oh, it's everything all the time. It gets tiring, especially, as I said, there was a couple years ago where there was like an X-Men movie and another superhero movie, like an Avengers movie, within weeks of each other. And it was just like, oh, great, it's another universe-sucking vortex. I wonder if they'll be able to vanquish that. I really enjoyed the humor in this Shazam movie. There was a moment where I laughed out loud for a while at a line a certain character says. It's just fun. And toward the end, it becomes a monster movie, which I like. And the effects were really good. And I just really enjoyed Shazam! Fury of the Gods. I don't have a lot more to say about it than that. There is a mid-credit sequence and there is a post-credit sequence that set up presumably the next movie. I don't believe this movie has done very well financially, so I'm going to kind of guess we probably won't see a third Shazam movie, but we may see Shazam in other films. One of the other major current DC characters does show up in this movie, which is kind of cool. And I just thought it was fun. It was a fun, disposable matinee. I don't think it was as good as the first film. I don't know how much longer they can do these if they intend to, because all these kids are getting older, and the whole idea of this is that it's little kids or younger teens becoming adult superheroes, and sooner or later the difference between, I think there is one character in the group that is old enough so that when she transforms into her like Shazam type character, she's just basically wearing a costume. So at any rate, whether my opinion matters to anybody or not, I never know. But I put it out there if you like hearing me talk about movies, and if you're curious as to what I thought Shazam! Fury of the Gods was fun, pretty much fine for a family. They go out of their way not to use profanity very much, at least in this film. I think, if anything, they use the brown word a couple times, and they insinuate harder words, but they get cut off and things like that. So I liked it. Shazam! Fury of the Gods.